Hello, welcome. This is University Elementary School Back to School Night. I'm Mr. Renitz, math and science teacher for grade 5. Thank you for coming tonight. Some topics we'll be covering a little bit of an introduction so you have a little bit of familiarity with me, course outline, grading, attendance, computer etiquette, ways to be on screen, some homework tips, yes, and contact information so we can always remain in communication. About me, 2005, I began teaching in Irvington Elementary School. In my 15 years here, I've taught math, science, English language arts, social studies. Started teaching in 2000 in Jersey City Middle School. I continued my teaching career from there in Phillipsburg Middle School as a math teacher. I was able to pursue one of my lifelong passions, soccer, and I converted my playing experience to a national coaching license. And I've worked with youth soccer camps, travel teams, high school teams, and have extensive, probably more than I'd like to admit, experience in the sport. The course outline, Math and Science 2020, we begin at 8:45. Lessons are in alignment with grade level, content, and curriculum standards. Classwork assignments, and I appreciate all of the families' help with working with their scholars, finding and navigating Google Classroom, and getting to those assignments. Homework expected to be done before our next class session. Essential to continue to do the classwork assignments and the homework assignments, the projects that are listed. Attendance, really, really, I cannot stress enough how important attendance is. Please continue to make sure your scholars come to the class. How does that become so essential? Well, because each day as we progress, the material presented builds on previously learned information. The program includes digital resources, lessons, practice, assessments, additional similar questions so we can get a good foundation on the materials being presented. Of course, I am too a resource, and it's great when the scholars ask me or point out specifically an idea about how to solve a problem. Our online platform for the math and science, both driven by Savas Realize. iReady is a computer-based learning platform that we use in our schools. It is designed to create an individualized learning platform, specifically geared towards the student ability level. It's tailor-made. It's a really nice program. You might be familiar with it if you've been with us in Irvington. The iReady program is a diagnostic assessment. We use this as an assessment 3 times a year to monitor students' starting points, where they're growing to, and that continues through their academic career with Irvington. This is, too, a component of homework, 45 minutes a week. Our scholars are expected to be on this program at least that much. Google Meet classroom codes. Just like in the regular building, we have specials. Our scholars have been real good at getting to the specials. Please make sure and continue to stress to our students that they need to be in attendance. And classroom codes. This is the camera code for Google Classroom, Google Meets. My last name with the number 5 at the end. Art, gym, library, music. These are the codes for the specials. but at this point, most scholars are aware how to get right to those specials. Essential to be on time to those as well. Stressing, please. Math journal, math notebook. Really important to take ownership of those materials being presented, and nothing's better than having it written down in your own hand in a notebook. Write down the daily agenda, the topic, the driving question, the examples, the modeled examples on how to solve these problems. Headsets. I know Five and Below has some really quality headsets. It helps the scholars hear the lesson, not just from me, but it helps them hear the comments and suggestions made by other students in the class. So really important. Plus, they block out any noise distractions that could be going on around the scholar or behind them in our homes. Grading policy, the grading profile. We have a number of assignments that are required, and these are the percentages of this two testing average. 20% of that overall total goes into the final grade calculation. And as we progress, these percentages and these materials come to the 100% mark. Number-wise, well, we use letter grades, but just an idea when we calculate the averages, these are the numbers that correlate with the letter representation. The science, same style. We have we have our percentages and the number of required courses. Scholars expected to be in school and attendance every day. Log into the live class 8:45 each morning. It's in the Google Classroom banner, and attendance is recorded in our homeroom and any other classes the scholar may go to. Complete all the assignments posted in the Google Classroom, and if there's a time in which a scholar might be absent, it's great to notify me ahead of time. I appreciate that. And any work that's missed, please make sure our scholars get to it and get them completed and turned in. This is what our schedule looks like. Wednesdays are recorded lessons, virtual lessons that are recorded. It is just like a regular class session. It's important that the scholar gets to the Wednesday classes, watches the lessons, and then completes the assignment that correlates with that lesson. You can see our specials here: music, art, gym. They start at 9:30 and they go from our first period closing at 9:25. So really important we have a little bit of time to get there, and that's a good time to freshen up, splash some water on your face, drink of water, and get into that session. Lunch is every day at 11, and let's see, computer etiquette, ways to be on screen. One thing I wanted to point out for sure was clothing. Thank you for making sure our scholars are appropriately dressed. By that, I just mean school uniform is a good idea and go from there. Clothing should be in alignment with the University Elementary School guidelines. And really, you're being seen on screen, scholars. And I want to address the visibility factor as well. So as we progress in classroom environments, polite, clear ways of speaking that contributes to and reflects the University Elementary School scholarly environment. Visibility, a real important piece. One, visibility means, well, seeing our scholars on the screen, lighting in front of you, allows us to see. Plus, when you're working in front of you, it's good to be shadow free. As a result, though, I do want to share with you that the camera picks up behind the scholar. The right space for the scholar to do their work keeps your personal belongings personal. And in the background, limit the visibility of items. Remember that not only the scholar, but if there's movement behind our scholars, you're on screen. And as much as I'll try to remind somebody to turn their camera, it is important, and I'm sharing with you, that you're aware the camera has a range of visibility. So if we're mindful about that, and that brings us to the idea of mindfulness, um, being present, be mindful of the surroundings we're in and our scholars are exposed to, or I'm sorry, exposing. It's about having an awareness about yourself and your environment. And we want to be aware that visibility extends beyond the scholar. And that visibility is also an awareness inside one's own mind of being present and being available. With that said, it is essential, and please, families, remind our scholars, the camera needs to be on. We need to see the scholar faces so we know they are present. We don't want the camera to go on, the icon to be up, and not see the student and not hear them responding to us. Cameras need to be on and we see the scholars. But keeping that in mind and being mindful and an awareness of our environment, that our environment is visible, and that includes that which is behind our scholars. So let's move on because of time constraints. There's an abundance of material, so I'm just kind of hitting the highlights. To be a scholar, do the best you can to be that university elementary school hawk and work with that grit and determination. Yes, we put our best, most positive self forward, and we did it. Making the effort will turn into positive end results. Give your best effort. Remind our scholars. Check their work before turning it in, and we will all be successful. How to get it going? Well, to get on task when you are asked to, remind your scholars, please, to get to the job of the assignments as soon as they see them, as soon as we talk about them, right away. Getting on task right away keeps things going in a positive learning environment. Getting on task helps learn and develop ways to solve problems. That's another essential component. Instead of letting things build up, we'll get to it right away. Tips for homework: practice those foundational skills: addition, subtraction, multiplying, dividing, and continue to practice with the assignments that are posted on the Google Classroom. It is important that we continue to try to work out similar problems as well. I appreciate you families and encouraging your children not to give up. Solve those problems, try to make those connections. And one thing I do ask you is don't give them the answers. Ask them to think about ways they can solve the problem, and they will be linked to the ideas that have been presented before. So, because of that, coming to class and attending is so important. Communication, for me, reaching out, contacting me. Class Dojo, please accept my invitation to Class Dojo. Google Classroom has a private messaging platform, and there's also email, and my email address at irvington.k12.nj.us. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you being here and watching this back to school night virtual presentation. I thank you for your time, and we'll continue to communicate. Thank you for the great jobs you're doing with our scholars.